The church was so quiet that even the sound of people crying felt loud. My father's casket rested at the front, covered with white flowers and an American flag. Friends, neighbors, and old military brothers had come to say goodbye. I stood beside my younger sister, trying to stay strong because Dad always told us, when life hits you the hardest, stand taller, not louder. The pastor had just started speaking when the front doors suddenly slammed open. Every head turned. In walked HOA President Karen with two board members behind her. She wasn't dressed for a funeral. She looked like she was coming to a business meeting. She marched straight down the center aisle without caring that people were mourning. Then she pointed at me and spoke so loudly everyone could hear. Before this funeral goes any further, I want to see your father's will. The HOA needs proof of who owns that house now. The room froze. Even the pastor stopped talking. I thought she would realize where she was and leave. Instead, she crossed her arms like she owned the church. Nobody leaves until I see the documents, she said. My aunt gasped. My sister burst into tears again. One of Dad's old army friends stepped forward, but I gently stopped him. Karen smiled, thinking she had already won. Your father had unpaid HOA violations, she continued. Until we know who legally owns the property, we have the right to secure it. She even pulled out a stack of papers and waved them in the air. It looked official, at least to people who didn't know the truth. I slowly looked at her and asked, Karen, are you really doing this at my father's funeral? She shrugged without a bit of shame. Business doesn't stop because someone dies. The words echoed through the church. You could hear angry whispers everywhere. A little boy sitting with his grandparents quietly asked, Why is that lady yelling? Nobody answered him. Karen stepped even closer to me and lowered her voice. Hand me the will right now, or I'll have the sheriff meet us at your father's house before the burial is over. She believed fear would make me give in. She had no idea fear had left my family a long time ago. My cousin quietly leaned toward me. Should I call our lawyer? He whispered. I smiled for the first time that day. Not yet. Karen noticed the smile and looked confused. She expected panic, not calm. That made her even louder. Everyone here should know this family has been hiding legal documents, she shouted. Several people stared at us, unsure what to believe. That was exactly what she wanted. She wanted to turn our father's funeral into a public trial. What she didn't know was that every word coming out of her mouth was being recorded from 3 different cameras inside the church. Dad had planned almost everything before he passed away, because he had warned us months earlier that Karen would try something after his death. Then Karen made the biggest mistake of her life. She walked right up to my father's casket, placed her folder on top of it, and said, This property won't belong to your family much longer. The entire church exploded with angry voices. My sister cried out, Get your hands off our father's casket. Even the pastor stepped between us, but Karen refused to move. She believed the law was standing behind her. She had no idea the real truth was already sitting quietly in the 3rd row. A man she had completely ignored since she walked in. He had not spoken a single word yet. He simply watched her, waiting for the exact moment to stand up. And when he finally did, everything Karen believed was about to fall apart. Karen turned as the man from the 3rd row slowly stood up. He was dressed in a simple black suit, carrying only a leather folder. She frowned. And who are you supposed to be? The man calmly replied, My name is Daniel Brooks. I'm your late father's estate attorney. The church became silent again. Karen forced a laugh. Perfect. Then you can hand me the will. Daniel didn't even open his folder. No, he said, because you have absolutely no legal right to see it. Karen's smile faded. She pointed at him. The HOA has authority. Daniel shook his head. No, it doesn't. Not over a private estate. Not over inheritance. And certainly not inside a funeral. People began whispering again. Karen tried to interrupt him, but Daniel raised one document. And before you say another word, I suggest you read this. He handed her a single sheet. She looked at it for only a few seconds. Her face turned pale. This can't be right. It is, Daniel answered. The property was transferred into a protected family trust 8 months ago. Your HOA was officially notified by certified mail. We have the signed delivery receipt. Everyone looked at Karen. She slowly lowered the paper. But we never, Daniel interrupted. You personally signed for that letter. Now the entire church knew she had lied. Karen quickly changed her story. There are still unpaid HOA violations. Daniel smiled. No, there aren't. He opened another file. Every single violation your board issued was appealed, and every single one was dismissed by the county because your HOA has no authority over that property. Karen looked completely shocked. The house has never been inside your HOA boundaries. The room exploded with whispers. One of the board members standing behind Karen slowly stepped backward. Then another voice came from the back of the church. That's enough. Everyone turned. 2 sheriff's deputies walked inside. Karen smiled again. I knew you'd come. One deputy looked directly at her. We're not here for them. He stepped closer. We're here because we received reports that you interrupted a funeral, harassed a grieving family, and attempted to obtain private legal documents through intimidation. Karen's confidence disappeared. I was only doing my job, the deputy answered quietly. No, ma'am. You were abusing your position. Daniel handed the deputies a flash drive. Security cameras inside the church recorded everything. The deputy nodded. We'll add this to the investigation. Karen suddenly pointed at me. They're hiding something. I finally spoke. No, Karen. We were simply waiting for you to tell one more lie. Her own board members looked at each other. One of them quietly said, She told us the property belonged to the HOA. The other replied, She said the family refused to cooperate. Daniel opened another folder. I also have every email she sent. The deputies looked through them. One deputy quietly said, These emails are going to interest the district attorney. Karen's hands started shaking. The funeral finally continued after the deputies asked her to leave. For the first time that day, the church was peaceful again. We buried my father with the honor he deserved. But the story wasn't over. 30 days later, the county completed its investigation. The results shocked everyone. Karen had created fake violation notices. She approved fines against homes outside the HOA. She used HOA letterhead to threaten families who weren't even members. She even tried to collect money she knew people didn't owe. The board removed her as president. Several homeowners filed lawsuits. The HOA's insurance company refused to defend her because her actions were outside her authority. She was left to pay her own legal bills. Many of the families she had bullied joined together. One by one, they won. Some recovered thousands of dollars. Others had years of fake fines erased. The local newspaper called it one of the biggest HOA abuse scandals the county had seen. As for our family, we kept my father's home exactly the way he wanted. His flag still flies every morning. His garden still blooms every spring. Sometimes I sit on the front porch and remember what he told me years ago. People who chase power usually fall because of it. He was right. Karen came to my father's funeral, believing she could take control of our family's future. Instead, she walked straight into the evidence that ended her own. The strongest answer to abuse isn't anger. It's being ready before the fight even begins.